So the three of you are going to go prepare or going to go to your meeting now.
And
if it's around that time.
I also need to introduce myself to Lady Epperton.
Yes. Cool. So you guys begin to trundle off in that direction. What's the attire that everybody is bedecked in?
Normal.
Going to meet the Countess.
I only have my researcher robe looking thing, my green robes.
Full plate for Morella.
It's not full plate. I don't wear heavy armor. So.
Love how
Sorry,
particularly
formal breastplate.
Yes.
The formal breastplate. I like that.
With an arrow bolt hole still in it.
Right.
We
I mean, that's
yet.
still legit. Like, formal breastplate is legitimately a thing, right? It could be ordained or is that the word? Not ordained. It's not a priest.
Ordinate.
Yeah, with gems and designs and stuff.
I'd be surprised if Morella had dress armor.
She used to wear dresses and stuff in general.
Yeah, but
Under protest.
Hannibal's rocking his normal hood mask combo with robes.
Yep, cool. And Arkady, are you going in your typical business casual?
He's gonna dress up a little bit more just to try to help balance out the other two.
Okay, you're gonna add the ascot versus
no
ascot.
Maybe a couple of ascots.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't have much choice in what I wear.
Well,
I just don't care.
Gold fixes that.
We're broke. Well, he is at least.
Well, I mean, y'all stop taking missions that don't involve gold payment. Maybe you wouldn't be so broke.
If only Raka were here, we could be paid for every single little thing we did.
Exactly. Cool, yeah, so...
If Raka were here, he'd still be trying to sell gems. That he found 5 episodes ago.
Let's be honest, if Raka were here, you guys would still be in Altdorf, probably in jail.
Get out of town, but yeah.
Or finding some weird herbalist lady to get you out of town.
That was one time.
We can never let Raka meet the Emperor. We know this.
Yeah, no, that would be bad, probably. Anyway, back on track. The three of you are going to your meeting with Lady Appleton in normal attire. Maybe you're a little bit fancy, a little bit more formal for Petrov, which is probably appropriate. And
I'll lend Hannibal a bow tie.
Yeah.
I'll wear the bow tie weirdly just on my mask. I don't know how to fucking wear a bow tie while I'm wearing this.
As a headband?
Sure. I don't...
Sure.
I'm not...
Morella
I will pre-tie Hannibal's bow tie.
Yeah.
Well, see, you can't reach up high, so Morella will actually have to do it.
Yeah,
Right.
Hannibal's a man of science. He doesn't know how to dress up fancy like this.
Stand by this chair.
God, I'm
You might
standing
need
here.
something bigger than that. Hannibal, you're what, 6'2", 6'4", something like that?
I don't think it matters that much. Eventually, the bow tie gets appropriately placed on on Hannibal.
Yeah, I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
And you guys proceed to the Appleton Castle. And you guys have seen it from a distance, like when you went to Lady Sylar's estate, but as you approach it, you notice and you notice that it is quite grand in scale. It has quite a few fortresses, and it's definitely something that was created not for comfort, but for utility. If the city were ever assailed or anything like that, it definitely is a very defensible fortress. And as you arrive, you see that there's the guards out the front gate, and then you can hear the distinct sounds of training going on, in the practice areas for where the guards are ostensibly practicing and sparring and etc. like that. Morella, it's probably a very familiar feel to you as you go to approach the location. And and yeah, you get to the front gate, and I assume that Arkady, you present the letter that says you're supposed to be here. And after reading it over, the guard summons a captain, and the captain comes over, and he also looks at the letter, and he looks at the group of you, and he looks at the letter, and he says, "Very well, follow me. I'll lead you to the courtyard to await the lady."
She thanks the man.
Yep. and the gates that were open previously, you guys proceed through them, and you can see that it is fairly well decored out here. The day today is actually kind of a nice day. It looks like it might afternoon thunderstorms a little bit later, but for now it's nice bright blue sky and sun shining. And so in general it kind of gives that nice kind of epic feel to entering this palace, and it's completely made of stone. It's clearly also dwarven construction, which means that even on top of its typical defensiveness, it also has an added layer of just being generally better, because dwarves are awesome at what they do. So as you approach the palace doors, you're led off kind of along the side of the palace around to this area over here, which is the courtyard area. Obviously, all this green stuff, and you're led into a garden that is filled with all kinds of exotic flowers, and the smells from in here are very pungent. They kind of invade your senses, but it's not necessarily bad. But it kind of is one of those things, if you're walking down the fragrance aisle, where all of the individual smells are kind of good, but once they're all combined, it's kind of this weird, almost offensively strong odor. But if you go to smell individual flowers, they're very fragrant. You can hear maybe the light buzzing of bees as they're pollinating and cross-pollinating the area. And there's also these wooden archways kind of over the path that have vines and flowers, and it's quite gorgeous in here. And I think that the captain of the guard, he leads you to a small wading pool that's in the middle, and it's got these stone benches kind of scattered around it. And he leads you over there, and he directs you to the benches, and says to you, Lady Appleton will meet you at the appropriated time. Feel free to stay here, wander about the garden, but know that being outside of the garden will constitute as trespassing, even for one such as yourself, my lady. And he nods his head at Morella.
Yeah, and she's probably sniffing one of the flowers as she looks over and smiles. She's like, I don't plan on trespassing, so you have nothing to worry about.
He nods and does the bow and then the backwards walk away for a few steps, and then turns around and heads back to do the rest of his job. So you guys are left in this kind of beautiful rose garden with all of those descriptors that I gave it previously.
I would like to nudge Morella a little bit and go, should I send out a friend to maybe go trespass a little?
No, we have no reason to.
Alright, fine. And then I'm going to go look through the garden to see if there are any medicinal plants.
Ooh, that's a good question. Roll me a...
Don't forget poisonous ones.
I'm trying to determine, is it going to be a... You have an herbalist kit?
Yes.
Roll me an herbalism check. Yeah, so I think you definitely see a lot of flowers and stuff that their leaves can definitely be used as poultices and stuff. Because typically flowers themselves do not have any nutritional or medicinal benefit. It's usually the leaves of the plants in total. But yeah, there's definitely some things in this garden that that's obviously not their purpose, and they're not grown for that. But you just knowing what you know about herbalism could definitely.
I'm not going to make a move on them yet. How much is there to where, how much could I take, per se, without it really being noticed?
I mean, it's kind of an overgrown garden feel. You could probably take a whole bunch and not really be noticed. If you start, stuffing your pack full of, whole plants and stuff, somebody's going to notice that. But
I said, I grabbed, 3 poultices worth.
3 is a lot of material. Because remember, when you start grinding up leaves, 1 leaf is going to be equal to, a 1/100th of material. But to get 1, yeah, you could probably get 1. And as long as nobody, walks up on you doing it, you could fit, enough leaves for 1 in a pouch or something.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Just have Dane grab them branch by branch.
Right.
Yeah, actually
stow them somewhere else.
Yeah, I would like to just take maybe just 1 poultice worth.
Yeah, sure. You can totally do that. That's no problem. So you are doing it. It's going to take some time. Like, you may not be there for the initial meeting, but
It's fine.
If at any point it looks like somebody's approaching, I'll stop.
Right, obviously. Yeah, I'm not going to be like, haha, I got you now, because that would be fucking dumb of me.
And bad GMing.
Yeah. So what are the other two of you doing? Are you just like patiently waiting for the lady to arrive?
Yeah, I think I would strike up a conversation with Petrov to kind of pass the time.
Okay.
As I look at him and say, so, Kislev is having problems?
Kislev is continuing as Kislev has always lived. Problems, less problem
Rising
than...
problems, I should say.
It is never peacetime in Kislev, you understand this? It's always state of war. So, it's never truly great time in Kislev, have to admit. I mean, obviously, I consider my homeland finest country in the world. I understand if you do not accept this, you would not know. But, yes, unless you appreciate constant state of warfare, is always a little bit bad in Kislev. But, yes, situation is deteriorating for a variety of reasons, not entirely unrelated to dwarves and lacking treaties. But,
Do I hear this door talk?
I mean, no, I think you're off preening bushes.
Yeah.
Damn.
At some
right,
point.
I forgot.
Hannibal,
Yeah.
you are 100% correct, yes.
And,
Okay.
Morella looks at you as, you say, it's always in the state of constant war. And she's like, yes, I do know. I've trained to become, and she kind of like looks at herself, to become a warrior so I could perhaps stop that.
You think you can stop Tide of Chaos? That is ambitious more than I thought.
No, I do not believe it to be ambitious. Not in the slightest. I don't do it for myself, I do it for those that suffer from it. Your people.
I do not mean ambitious in sense of personal glory or ladyship. I mean, this is something that entire nations have struggled with for generations untold.
Perhaps I will bring all nations together at one point, so we could stop this.
That would be difficult, but it would be worth seeing.
Call it a dream of mine.
For myself, I am content to maintain friendship between our nations.
Of course.
But I am curious if your desire is to, if your dream is to bring together entire world against chaos, why do you begin here? By sound of it, you have been traveling with a masked friend for some time now. It is not exactly global tour, is it?
No, it is not. The people, there are rising problems everywhere I go, and I try to help those that I can. It does put a halt at the dream. But those I can help along the way at least make me feel better.
I see. You'll solve all world's problems one at a time.
Man, there's some potent shit here.
Do we just glance over to see Hannibal snorting one of the bushes?
Yeah. I probably just like look over as he says that and then just shake my head, and then I look back and I'm like,
can you even smell through that mask?
It's very, long story short, no, and kinda.
so not worry about him, Petrov.
Also, fuck you, Jordan. Stop telling me these things.
And she probably like looks off in like the distance, and she's like, I just hope we can At least I hope we can get out of this town soon enough. I don't want to be here much longer.
Well, not to say you were wrong, but I believe it was your plan to stay here, no?
We need to help,
No doubt.
especially for Chester and Vi. And now for Farron, it seems.
I have been meaning to ask, not that they do not have valuable skill set, but have you considered that perhaps other,
No. I have not.
I am just saying, I know many people with variety of valuable social contacts who have never murdered anybody, so, I mean, this is already a step above Chester, let alone murdering, say, clergy.
Yes, she kind of maybe scowls a bit as you say clergy, and she's like, I understand. However,
Just putting that out there.
Chester and Vi, they stay with us. Maybe perhaps more of their own selfish reasons, but they stay with me on my path nonetheless. Other individuals will give up. And probably would have given up a long time ago.
You're making disciples. This is going to be worth seeing.
I do not believe I can change them completely, but perhaps giving them and letting them on this path might give them new insight within life.
Cool.
You are going to make fascinating Empress one day. Oh, look, it's Lady Appleton.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect time for you say you're gonna make fascinating as the conversation kind of trails off and Hannibal's huffing plant leaves.
Yep.
Oh shit! Then I quickly step it away when she shows up.
Yeah. Also, for those of you that are curious why Hannibal told me to go fuck myself, is I told him an image of Puck was flying across a field, and a nine-tailed fox came up and ate her, and then exploded into viscera, covering a field half a mile wide.
Lamau! Goddamn. Savage.
Why did you see this?
I don't want this. Shut up.
Because it makes him sad, and I like making him sad.
Stop. Make these voices stop in my head.
Yeah.
GG.
I'm just trying to give him PTSD from the game. That's all that's going on. So,
No.
PTSD isn't funny, people. I've actually
isn't.
medically diagnosed with it, so I can make jokes about it. That's how.
So
it
is my
right?
brother.
Listen to your heart. What is it?
That's how it works, right? If you have something, you can make jokes about it. So, moving on. Yeah, I think that as the conversation trails off, Lady Appleton approaches, and she's flanked by three of the. They don't call them royal guards, but they call them. For example, in Talabheim, for you, they were the Order of the Red Hand, I believe, was the name of the royal guard there.
Yeah.
In Nuln, they are actually called. Oh crap! I don't have it written down there. Hold on. They are called
The Order of the Small Hand. You get it because they're dwarves.
They're not dwarves. They're clearly humans. I don't know what they're called. Let's make up a name. Let's say they are one of the knightly orders here.
Order of the.
They're probably called the Order of the Imperial School, because they are trained at the School of Engineering that exists here, and so I think that kind of shows through with they're actually wielding equipment that is either a little bit more finely wrought or a little bit more unique than others. And I think that it shows that they're not bedecked in the same type of equipment. I think one of them is clearly carrying, and Morello, you can identify the weapon, and I'm sure anyone who's had any martial prowess can as well. One of them is clearly carrying a glaive strapped to his back, and the other one is probably wielding a scimitar at his side and a shield that's strapped on his back. So it's kind of weird to see the Royal Guardsmen, but clearly they walk with the purpose as if they know how to use those weapons and aren't afraid to at any moment. And Lady Appleton, as I've described her before, is the sparkling image of nobility within the world. And she seemingly doesn't even walk, she just glides with her long kind of flowing gown that's kind of, splayed out a little bit. She's in a very, very tasteful color of periwinkle blue today. And she looks like she has never had a hair out of place ever in her entire life. It's kind of it's flowing a little bit. It's not pulled back today. It's kind of flowing a little bit, and her locks kind of fall on her shoulders and roll forward, almost in like perfect symmetry and formation around. They frame her face almost perfectly. She's got kind of a paler skinned face, and she's got dark features, dark eyes, dark hair color, and she is clearly, I won't say aging, but she's not a young woman. She's clearly solidly in her middle age, but it's kind of strange because she looks ageless. Almost, for those of you that have ever met elves before, have that kind of ageless look. It's kind of like that, but she's very clearly human and doesn't have any elven blood in her. But for people who are lesser known, they may suspect something like that. And I think that as she approaches, she kind of like waves to her guards as they like are walking behind her to kind of like, like it's fine, I'll be fine. And she walks up to you, Marilla, and actually she goes to embrace you, in like a hug. I assume that you return, or are you taken aback by that level of
affection?
Well, affection isn't the word, but that level of familiarity, right?
Yeah. Yeah, at first she like doesn't do anything, and then she's at that awkward stage of like, someone's hugging me.
Right.
Even though I don't really feel them that often, so hug back. As she's like slowly tries to hug back.
Slowly like pat on the back.
How do arms work?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
The pat on the back, like at arm's length.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like as she gets done embracing you, she does the thing where like she puts her hand on your arms, she like looks you over, and she says, "My dear Morella, you look as though you have not been sleeping well."
She raises an eyebrow at that, and she waves a hand. Those that are high up always have a lot of things on their minds.
Yes.
As you would well know.
Too true, I understand. Tell me, where are you staying in the city? I found it strange when I saw you at the gala that you did not request to stay here.
No,
You will understand, I had already made arrangements with another acquaintance of mine in town.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, I think that she nods and she turns to you since you've addressed her. And she says, "You must be Petrov, yes? Ambassador Petrov?"
I will spare you the prolonged full introduction that Petrov does of himself and his lineage.
You do the thing, right? We can say that you do the thing.
Copy paste.
Yeah, copy paste from what we've
I don't think Hannibal has seen this introduction, so he is surprised.
Yeah, it's the full drawn out, Arkady Petrov, ambassador of Kislev, son of blah, who is son of blah, who is,
Yeah, even Hannibal would be like, "Man, you
probably like lodge your titles, right? Like holder of the silver hand, or whatever the hell titles that Arkady has in his homeland for being like a high level ambassador, right? Like all these different like archaic, terms that really mean absolutely nothing, but it's formal, and that's what they do. And I think that she gives you like a polite like nod. She doesn't bow or curtsy like fully because formally she's of higher rank than you. And I think, but she gives you like a polite nod. And she says, "The pleasure is mine, Ambassador Petrov. Tell me, what brings you all the way to Nuln? It has been some time since we have seen an ambassador from Kislev."
That is itself a good reason to be here, no?
Yes, that is a good point. Perhaps we can have a conversation more in depth at a later date. I'm afraid that my schedule is quite tight these days.
No, I understand, given shortness of notice. To be more specific, I admit, I have Lady Fairheart and myself have shared business east of Null, so we travel together. Our stop here is admittedly more coincidence than planned.
From what I remember of Morella, and she's speaking to you, Arcady, but she kind of looks at Morella. She goes, from what I remember of Morella, she is quite a, well, difficult individual to handle. I am glad that someone of your ability is with her. I would rather see her unharmed and make it through whatever journey she travels on.
Difficult, not at all. It's delight to travel with her. She is remarkably competent. Is delightful change from many nobility I have been forced to deal with at best.
I would like to walk up to Morella, kind of, did she just talk like you weren't here?
Hush, Hannibal.
Yeah, and I think that, like, as you approach the group, she probably turns and she says, and your friend here? And she's talking to Morella now. She goes, your friend here, is this your... And you could tell, like, she kind of, like, does the up and down and was going to say, like, probably, like, man in waiting or something, but you don't look like a bodyguard. And I think that she says, is this your scholar?
Yes. My scholar, Hannibal. And she kind of, like, gestures towards you, Hannibal. You can introduce yourself.
Hello there, ma'am. My name is Hannibal D. Solomon. I'm a researcher of sorts.
Arcady has positioned himself just out of her line of sight so that she doesn't notice anything going on his face.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that she gives you, kind of like a polite, like, nod. And she says, tell me, Hannibal D. Solomon, what do you research?
Well, I'm not sure a lady such as yourself would be too interested in that. It's a little bit of a macabre subject.
I think that she laughs, and it's kind of that, like, perfectly pitched, tinkly kind of laughter. It sounds a bit practiced, right? But she's so good at it that she makes it seem, like, natural. But it's clearly, like for the group of you, or at least definitely the two of you that know formal halls well, would catch it, that it's clearly a reactionary laugh. And she says, my dear Hannibal D. Solomon, I believe that you would be surprised at the things that I am interested in these days. But say no more.
If you really want to know, I don't mind telling you.
As I said,
perhaps for another time, Hannibal.
I'm afraid that my time is limited. Although, I feel as though being here surrounded by the three of you, and she, like, looks at each one of you, there is more to this than simply a social gathering. What can I do for you, Morella?
Yeah, and she kind of, like, looks at her, and she's like, well, personally, I wanted to meet you on a one face-to-face, rather than our last meeting.
Did you not enjoy yourself at the gala?
She kind of, like, maybe, like, pauses a bit before answering, and then she's like, perhaps not as much as others.
And I think that she kind of, like, she does, like, the hand, like, fingers tips touching her chest, and she, like, does, like, the gasping look, and she's like, but it was my understanding, if I'm not incorrect, that it was your idea, but... And she turns towards Petrov, and she goes, I see now that perhaps that was positioning. Was it not?
Positioning? I am not sure I understand what you mean. I admit I was responsible for... I'm struggling here, Petrov wouldn't be, but... Basically he's saying, yes, he was the one responsible for coordinating the whole event, socially speaking, and he did make that choice based on what would be a good opportunity for many of the nobles to come together, rather than necessarily what Morella would find most fascinating.
Yeah, and I think that she like takes it all in, and she says, well, there could be a lesson in tact here, although perhaps you have not heard the news. And she kind of, like, pauses for a moment, leaving that in the air, and, like, I think that the group of you are kind of like, what the hell is she talking about, because was the intent. She goes,
probably, yeah.
When was the last word you received from Altdorf?
What has happened?
We received word from a fast-moving ship not 2 days ago. The Emperor has fallen ill.
So soon?
What?
This is a surprise to me. Ill with what? What could possibly have be an illness to concern Magnus the Pious?
That is a cause of much concern for all of us. But perhaps with this information in the future, we will be far more tactful when setting up meetings with heads of state so soon and so closely behind the sudden illness of our dear Emperor.
Yes.
You misunderstand my intentions entirely.
Oh? Perhaps you
I
will
hadn't-
enlighten me.
The business on which Lady Fairheart and myself are occupied east of here is at the request of the Emperor himself. We had no word of his illness until this very moment.
Well, then, it was poor timing, as it were. And with the church all riled up about something, I have a meeting with the Theogonist tomorrow. I can say that that is a man that I do not enjoy speaking with, if you'll pardon my candor.
The Theogonist Wayfarer?
I can assure you it will not leave this garden.
Yeah, I think she nods, like, acceptingly, but, like, also probably in a way that even if it did, she wouldn't care. Like, you know, in the, like, she was saying it to be polite and formal, not necessarily because she actually cares if she talks shit about the Theogonist Wayfarer.
I'm sure she can get away with it.
Right, exactly. It's one of those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that she says, she looked and she says, well, I was able to give you some news then, but is the meeting that we are having now, is there not some purpose behind it? Besides just a face-to-face.
I wish to establish closer ties with our families.
Well, our families have always been close. Your mother saw to that.
I was not aware of that. I was very young when she passed.
Yes, a tragedy that. Your father was very broken up. How is he these days? Have you heard from him since the gala?
Not since the gala. I, though, have sent a message to him.
That is
Though
good.
I suppose it is more for not personal reasons, but rather for business.
She kind of nods, and I think she makes an offhanded comment like, I wish that my children would write me more. It is good you are being a dutiful daughter.
Well, I am asking him for something he perhaps will not be able to comply with, especially with recent events.
I think that she smiles kind of like warmly at you, and I think that she mentions, she's like, I believe you misunderstand the love and affection your father has for you. That man would strike down the Emperor if you asked him to.
That is, yes, a parent's love is truly a magnificent thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
And
Again,
yeah, go ahead.
I meant it more as just, I don't doubt my father's love. I meant it as more as just, he's a busy man, and I'm becoming a very busy woman.
Ah, yes, age will do that to us. You are in the prime of your life. Perhaps you should consider not being so busy. Find a strong man that can take care of you.
She chuckles and like scoffs as she like mentions strong man.
Hannibal also really laughs, goes like at that
And
sound.
she's like, I have yet to make or find a man that has been strong enough to deal with me.
I think, and then she says, well, perhaps one that at least sings well. That was your minstrel.
Are you
the other night,
suggesting-
wasn't it?
Are you suggesting a certain pretty man of sorts.
Yeah, I think she says directly, she's like, the minstrel, he was yours, was he not? Would not be the first time that one noble of birth had taken another.
She, like, gestures lightly. Oh, no. Farron is just a friend.
Farron is in fact an employee of my own. Employee and, of course, a valued friend, but it is foremost a business relationship.
Yes, friend. That's the word.
Yeah, I think that, like, all of you, like, giving her answers and, like, reasons for stuff, she's not confused, right? Because she's extremely tactful and sharp. But I think that, like, she kind of, like, looks and, like, is piecing together information, like, that you all give her. Like, not ever taking the full thing that Morella says, or the full thing that Petra says, or the full thing that Hannibal says, but, like, taking, like, the truthful, or the parts she believes are truthful out of the pieces and putting them together. Throughout the entire conversation. I think that she probably, like, glances up at the sun, and she says, well, 'tis getting rather late. In just a few moments I have to meet with some commoners in reference to some grain that has gone bad. They're saying that we're going to have a shortage this year. With harvests only 2 or 3 months away, we must prepare readily.
Indeed.
Is there anything else that you required of me?
If perhaps you wanted to. Is there a task that you need done?
Again, I think she gives you that kind of light tinkling chuckle, and she says, oh, my dear Morella, there are far too many tasks for even one
that
so
exceeds
capable
outside
of
the
you."
city limits.
She kind of shakes her head. She's like, no, nothing that comes to mind. Everything is quite well taken care of. But perhaps
She nods.
if something comes up, I will be in contact.
We won't be in town for much longer, I'm afraid.
Actually, I have a request. Could you actually send those men talking about how it looks like there's going to be a grain problem? Because I believe I might be able to help them.
She kind of like looks probably a little bit like her eyebrows probably furrow just a little bit, and she looks at you and she says, "Oh, are you a researcher of farming?"
Let's just say that in my research I've managed to dabble a little bit outside of what I'm supposed to be researching.
She kind of like shakes her head or nods her head slowly, and she's like, "Very well. I will have a missive sent to, I assume, the same location that I sent my reply, with where they can be contacted."
Thank you very much, madam. And Hannibal bows. I'm happy to be able to help.
So do the rest of you bring anything else up? I mean, so out of character real quick. Petrov, this would be a great time to be like, have you heard about, Kislev?
You cut out there for a second.
I said, this would be a great time for you to be like, hey, have you heard about Kislev or any of the problems going on there recently? Or anything else you guys want to say. It's totally up to you. If you don't want to do that, that's totally cool.
Now, that is a good point. Petrov's still reeling a little bit from the fact that he hasn't yet received news about the Emperor, since that's kind of relevant to his diplomatic job. But
right, and also remember, right, yeah, also remember how hard it was to find you for the other messenger.
Yeah, I know. Okay, right. So he shakes his head a little bit, declared of that, and then yes, I mean, since we both know what's going on, I'm not sure how much detail you want me to get into, but
yeah,
he will mention what he's heard from Kislev about difficulties with dwarves pulling out of the way and needing reinforcements, and obviously it's a hard time for everybody, what with the lack of harvest around, but he's trying to rally support against the eternal war in the north.
Sure, and I think that she probably looks like distraught at that news, obviously. And she probably says that she will reach out to, because this city is very in touch with the Dwarven kingdoms, right? They have a clan hall literally inside of their city walls. So I think that she probably mentions that she'll reach out to her Dwarven contacts to see if there's any support that they can send from other locations or even from here. But she probably, lauds the fact that her resources are not in a good position to help currently.
Even if you can rally the dwarves, I am sure their countrymen and mine will appreciate it greatly.
Yeah, I think that she's... In fact, she probably calls over one of her guards at that point and, tells him to go, gather a few people and, slot it in at the end so she can relay a message and see if she can get some things rolling for that, for sure.
Right.
Does anybody else have anything you want to say to her before she takes her leave?
Yeah. Morella, after Petrov and Appleton talk for a bit, Morella looks at her and she's like, so the Emperor is ill. Do you know how actually ill he is? Is he, pardon my speech, but is he knocking on death's door?
I think that she shakes her head vigorously and she's like, oh no, it's simply rumors from reliable sources, but one of the pleasures of being in a position of mine is rumors are never so much rumors as just information that has not yet been given to the public.
Yes.
You'll understand when I mention we probably shouldn't mention that out of this meeting.
Again, I don't plan to. However, if perhaps the rumors change to where he is grim in health, a successor will be needed to be found, yes?
I think that her answer is directly this. You've made that very obvious, Morella.
She nods and she just kind of smiles a bit and she's like, I just want what's best for the children.
As do we all.
She smiles a bit. And then kind of goes off there.
Petrov also thanks for the information and notes that while he's not going to want to spread that himself, obviously, she clearly has a closer line back to the capital than he does right now. And he wants to make sure that he extends any resource that Kislev can possibly offer to the Emperor's health.
Yeah, and you guys have that brief moment, I think, there as well. Cool. Hannibal, is there anything else you want to speak to her about before you depart? You've already kind of got your thing with the whole grain thing, right?
Any more of her shrubs you want to chew on?
Right.
I'd just like to mention to her that she has a lovely garden.
Yeah, I think that she kind of falls back into that kind of girly, mode where she probably explains about how, oh yes, I've had it since I was a young girl, and my mother before me had started it, and etc. etc.
Yes, that Lopus Laternum looks very ripe. It has some great leaves and great bodies.
I think
Perfect
she
for
probably
cultists.
says occasionally the maesters come here to trim some of the plants, but she doesn't know much about it. She just likes the look and the smell of them.
Yes.
Reminding Hannibal that he's stealing from the king's garden. Anyway, I assume you guys take your leave and depart.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. So bouncing back over to the crew of ne'er-do-wells, because let's be honest, you guys are the ne'er-do-welliness of the party.
That's literally why I hired Farron.
Yeah, Vi and Chester and Farron, you guys are gonna go see if you can locate a valid entrance into the underground from the river.
Yes. So it seems.
I think if they're here. Hello, Chester.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So I think that Farron probably he gets most of his stuff in order. He looks a little bit more adventure-y than kind of the flamboyant pretty boy attire that he's accustomed to wearing inside of a city. He's clearly like gearing up to go in somewhere, go delving somewhere perhaps. And the two of you, I assume you take all of your equipment and stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's time.
Vi, tell us what color. Tell us what you look like today, since you change it on a daily basis. Oh, Megan.
She's BRB.
Oh, she is BRB. Okay, well, never mind. So the three of you head off into the town, and you go back down to like the docks. And again, this you see the large river Aver kind of runs directly through the location, and you can see like very clearly, and you probably saw them before too. There are large like stone pipes at certain intervals along the docks, and they always have like a little like trickle of water or a little stream of water coming out of them that kind of dumps into the river, and it's obviously like the sewage system of the location or refuse system of some sort. But I think that like as you travel along, you do find that there is a couple of suitable entrances. And I will get you to roll me an investigation roll to see if you can find what level of suitability you find in some of the entrances based on the information that you have. And I will roll for Farron.
What am I rolling? Sorry.
Investigation. You get advantage though because you have additional information that the others don't.
Okay.
Wow, good job, Farron. Great job. You rolled a 1.
Make sure to message
something's
that.
wrong between himself
Good-
and Morella.
Good lord, it's like the rolls from yesterday carried over. I mean, not yesterday, the other day.
All right, so a 9 is the highest, which a 9 is yeah, it's okay.
Terrible.
You probably like, Vi, you probably get to a point where like there's a tunnel that's like big enough to walk through, but it's probably not like in the best condition, so traveling is going to be a little bit slower. But based on like relative location, and I think that probably like what happens is you get there and you see like the little stream of water coming out of the stone pipe that's kind of like dumping into the river. It looks a little bit different, like it's got like this yellowish kind of grayish tinge to it. And based on the clue that you received about like the water being a little bit tainted, you could determine that like this is the place you need to go into, or at least enter into. So after doing that, and it's probably down here in this area, on this smaller little peninsula portion of the city, and we'll make it white, because I actually don't have a white one yet, and I think white will show up just fine. Yeah, sure will. Cool. So what do you guys do once you find all of that? Do you just head back?
I want to take a sample of the water.
Cool, awesome. So you grab a sampling of the water.
Probably empty out my flask, or it's probably empty anyway, let's be honest. And then just fill it up with this water and kind of cap the top of it. I want to take it with me.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So you take a sample of this water and you begin to put it away and you take it with you. And where do you guys go? Do you guys go back to the bungalow to link the party up again?
I want to try and explore a little more, just around the area. See if I find any of the members wandering around or anything otherwise suspicious.
Okay, roll me a perception check. You also have disadvantage, obviously, because you're in the sunlight.
Yep.
So you don't see anything, I think, relative to anything else going on. This just seems like a good location. It's in kind of like a high traffic area. It's not necessarily in like a back alley or anything like that. So it seems pretty out in the open, obvious to see and get to, but it also feeds into main thoroughways that way. So maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, who knows.
Wait, I just realized, how does the bard, who is Jack of all trades, get a 1?
It's a great question.
Negative modifier?
Yeah, I think so. Farron, character sheet. And it was investigation. He's got a 0 in it. Because he's got a -1 intelligence.
Sorry, I just figured I should ask, because
Yep.
that seemed weird to me.
Nope, that's a good question.
So, I mean, we're standing here, and it's... Okay, so we noticed that the water's coming out. There's literally nothing else that looks suspicious in this entire area. It's just the water, and everything else looks totally normal.
Yeah, there's people walking down the streets. I mean, this is one of the pipes that's actually, like, big enough to, like, to travel in, like, you know, like, walk in. So it is one of the larger, like, feed pipes. But you also have to, like, be down, like, on the bank of the river, right? You have to, like, jump down off of the... So there's, like... The mud is really soft here, and...
Do we see footprints in the mud?
Right, so I was going to mention that. The river level, like, rises and flows, and there's a wake based on boats that are coming by. So it's... I think that, the 2 represents, like, everything's kind of washed away. Like, even your own footprints are somewhat indistinguishable from the, like, the thick, sticky mud that's here.
If we get close to the pipe and we put our ear to it, can we hear anything other than water?
No, I think that it's clear that whatever is traveling through... I mean, you can roll me a perception check, too. Go for it. We'll see if you can hear anything. You hear the sound of a dagger scraping against a wall, flying towards your head or something. I don't know. I'm kidding, of course. That's not going to happen. Perception! We're all waiting in bated anticipation. Nice, 12. So yeah, I think that you do probably see something like in the moment, with wisdom. So I think that you probably do identify perhaps some scratch marks along kind of like the lip of the stone pipe that are either caused by like rats that may be like going in and out, but they could totally be like stuff scraping up against the lips and the edges of the tunnels. It looks like there's been traffic other than water through this pipe. That's what I'll give you with a 12.
Okay, good enough.
I assume that the intent is not to go into this pipe and then get lost forever and ever and ever.
No.
Could be just like the tunnel underneath Talabheim. So anyway, with that information in hand, are you guys gonna like stake it out? Is that something that you guys are thinking about doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think Chester would want to stay and see whoever comes by, ready himself.
Sure. Okay. So I guess then the question is, how long are you guys gonna like? You guys go to like, there's probably a tavern close by that has maybe an outdoor table that you guys can kind of all sit around, faintly reminiscent of the time Morella got shot in the chest with a crossbow.
Perfect. Well, do we know how long we thought that they were going to take for their social gathering?
I'm sure that they mentioned the meeting wasn't going to last very long because she only had a very small time slot that she could see them. And I think by the time you guys find all this out and like you get to the tavern to like stake the place out, they would probably be completing, and they have a much shorter journey than you do back to the bungalow, so.
And what time of day is it about?
Probably around 4 p.m.
And when was curfew?
Curfew was nailed up at sundown, which is around 8 p.m.
Okay, just checking. I think we should stake it out for at least
That's a good thing to check,
an
yes.
hour or two.
Being chased down by paladins in the middle of the streets is probably not great. Okay, so an hour or two. I think Farron is cool with that.
I mean, yeah.
I think Chester would probably want to get a room with a, like... Okay, so he would want to try and find an inn sort of over here with a view of the tunnel from one of the windows and try and stake up there for the night.
Okay. Roll me... Man, I don't know what kind of roll that's going to be because I don't know if that's a... I'll just say it's a possible thing that you can totally have. But you'll have to pay for it. Like, you'll have to throw down, like, 5 silver to get a room.
Of course.
Yeah. So you go, like, I'm sure you express that with the group, and they all go with you.
Would you guys like to come with me?
They rent by the hour.
Basically, yeah.
As long as you're paying.
Right, I think
All right.
I think Ference does the same thing. Like, as long as you're paying.
I'm just getting one room, just so you guys know.
Yeah, so you go and you get a room and you have a location. I think that Chester, maybe you have like a little bit of flashback because you're real close to the religious district, so you probably hear some chanting prayers going on behind you. Which may affect your character in some way. I don't know.
Quick, are there children anywhere?
Just maybe. Gets a little spooked at night.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, you have a vision of that area. Now you're a pretty good ways away. The River Aver is not a small river; it is quite large, and you're pretty far away. And I don't think any of you have a spyglass, right?
No.
Yeah. So I think that it's going to be like disadvantage on perception checks from this distance to look over there. But at least you'll get them and be extremely safe, right? Nobody's going to like shoot you across the river or anything like that.
They're not Chester. They can't do that.
Correct. That's absolutely correct. So, is one of you going to go back and let the others know, or are you guys just going to wait here until like right before curfew and go back to the bungalow? What's the plan here? Or are you just going to wait here all night? Like, just not go back to the bungalow?
I would probably see if oh god, I can't remember. Is it Farron or is it it okay, it is. It's oh, he's not even with us. I can't see the name. I would probably ask if he would want to go back and just leave Vi and myself here to check it out.
I think that he looks at you when you say that, and then he looks at Vi and he goes, well, I did tell Morella I would keep you safe. You know, it's probably best if I stay here with you.
Alright. More the merrier. Let them worry. It'll be fun when we get back.
I think he kind of looks at Vi and he probably is like,
No, I'll send him a message. Just hold on a second.
yeah, I think like the whole like, you know, we can do this without anybody saying anything, and or you can also turn invisible and I can't. Like, okay. So
I would
who do you send a
probably.
message to?
I don't know who would be the most. Well, probably Morella. I would send a message to Morella just saying, we're going to stake the place out for a few hours. Don't worry, we'll come back before curfew, okay?
Yeah. And Morella, you have a moment where you can send back a message when she uses that spell.
Yeah. What would she say is the question that I want to think of. I think she'd just say, fine. Make sure Chester doesn't get into trouble.
Right, yeah.
Great.
Farron gives you a thumbs up. It's like, cool, we did it. We did the thing.
We did something. But I think that's a good spot maybe to take a break.
Actually, one more thing.
Okay.
I think that while you guys are staking it out, and you're back at the other three of you are back at the bungalow, doing whatever you're doing at the bungalow, and the three of you are staking it out, and Chester. Well, no, I got to go with Vi because you have the highest wisdom score. I think that like you're probably like sitting at the window, like idly fidgeting with something, and like night's beginning to fall, and you're probably like on the last watch, and you're like, we gotta probably head back soon. I think that you see there's movement down by the area that you're attempting to watch. Now you can roll a perception check, but it's at disadvantage, and it will be based on how much information you're going to get from it. You know for a fact that something is down there, or there's movement going on in the area that you're searching for.
You have inspiration, I think, too, don't you?
Yes, remember, lots of people.
Yeah,
have
I was just going to say
inspiration.
that. I'm going to use my inspiration to make it not at disadvantage.
Correct, so it'll be a normal roll. Nice. Yeah. So I think that you see like the street is kind of calmed down on that side, and you don't see a whole lot of people like moving back and forth. And you probably see 3 people who are walking down the street, and they're all kind of like they're hooded, and you see one of them like kind of like look side to side, and then they all kind of jump off down onto the bank of the river, and there's 3 men, and they all kind of scramble, or 3 individuals. You can't tell if they're man or woman from this distance, even with a 19. But they kind of scramble up in to the tunnel or pipe, and you see that one of them, he turns around and he makes it look like he's folded his hands together like he's praying, and then after a moment you see like he's doing something clearly, like standing at the inside of the pipe but at the edge of it, and then he turns around and departs in as well. And I think that's a perfect time for a break.
Good.
Okay.
You gained very useful information by just remember that.
Yes, we did.
Okay, cool. Let's take a break. We'll be back at like 8:10 EST. Make it like 6 minutes.
Sounds good.
Cool.
6-7 minutes.
All right,
But yeah, BRB.
All right, we're taking a quick break. Stream. We'll be right back shortly for more Siege of the Empire, like 5 minutes ish.